There comes a time in everyone's life when they encounter people who drain their energy, distort their peace, and attempt to control their emotions. These individuals, often labeled as toxic, thrive on conflict, manipulation, and negativity. They feed on attention, and the more you engage, the more powerful they become. But the truth is, you don't need to fight them, argue with them, or prove your worth to them. The most powerful way to shut down toxic people is through one single action: withdrawing your energy and refusing to give them a reaction. Toxic people are not always easy to recognize at first, but over time their patterns become clear. They thrive on drama, negativity, and control. Their greatest source of strength is not their words or actions alone. It is your response to them. The truth is, toxic individuals survive and grow stronger only when you feed them with your attention and emotional energy. When you argue back, when you explain yourself to someone who is determined not to understand, when you let their words disturb your peace, you are essentially handing them the power to control your emotions. Think of it like a fire. A fire needs oxygen to survive. Without it, the flames die down. Toxic people are exactly the same. They need your emotional reaction, your engagement, your energy to keep their negativity alive. When you yell back at them, when you try to reason with them, or even when you keep replaying their words in your mind, you are providing the very oxygen they need. And the more oxygen they get, the stronger the fire burns. But here's the key: once you stop feeding the fire, it can no longer consume you. Toxic individuals often know exactly how to push your buttons. They may insult you, belittle you, or use manipulation tactics like guilt, tripping, or playing the victim. Their aim is not to resolve conflict, but to keep it going. Why? Because your emotional involvement gives them validation. It reassures them that they still have influence over you, that they can still control your mood. For them, your anger is proof that they matter, your hurt is proof that they have power, and your attention is proof that they are in control. This is why it's so important to recognize the cycle. Every time you react to toxicity with the same intensity they bring, you reinforce their behavior. You might believe you are standing up for yourself by engaging, but in reality, you are only playing their game. They want chaos, and by giving them your energy, you provide exactly what they're seeking. Instead, the most powerful shift happens when you realize you don't owe them your attention. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to respond to every manipulation. And you certainly don't have to prove your worth to someone whose only goal is to tear you down. When you stop reacting, you begin to reclaim your control. You stop giving away your peace for free. Let's imagine a scenario: someone makes a cruel comment, hoping to see you lose your temper. If you argue, they feel victorious. If you defend yourself, they feel important. But if you remain calm, maybe even silent, or simply walk away, suddenly they are left powerless. They expected a reaction, but your calmness leaves them frustrated. They can no longer feed off your energy, and without it, they shrink. This doesn't mean you should suppress your emotions or pretend that hurtful words don't affect you. It means you should be intentional with your responses. You should ask yourself, does this person deserve my energy? Does this fight deserve my peace? Most of the time, the answer will be no. In the end, toxic people thrive only when they have an audience. They are performers who need your attention to keep their act alive. The moment you stop giving them what they crave, they lose their stage, they realize they can no longer control you, and that is the ultimate defeat for them. Remember this truth: their power lies not in what they do, but in how you respond. And when you choose to withdraw your attention, you strip them of the very thing they need most: your energy. In a world where everyone feels compelled to respond, explain, and defend themselves, silence has become one of the most underrated forms of strength. Especially when dealing with toxic people, silence and non-reaction are not signs of weakness, they are powerful tools of self-control. Toxic people crave conflict. They thrive on drama. Their entire strategy is to pull you to their emotional storm where they can manipulate you, provoke you, and drain your energy. But when you respond with silence, when you refuse to react, you take away the very fuel they need to keep their negativity alive. Toxic individuals are like emotional parasites. They survive by feeding on your anger, your frustration, and your need to explain yourself. The more you react, the more they grow. They don't want peace, they want chaos. They don't want resolution, they want domination. They provoke, not to solve problems, but to get you tangled in their web of negativity. By reacting, you become entangled. By staying silent, you free yourself. Silence is not about being passive or submissive. It is about choosing not to play a game that has no winner. Imagine someone shouting, insulting, or trying to bait you into an argument. If you shout back, the situation escalates. If you try to reason, they twist your words. But if you remain calm and refuse to engage, their energy has nowhere to land. It's like throwing punches into thin air. Their aggression becomes meaningless. They can no longer control you because you've removed yourself from their game. Non-reaction also carries a powerful psychological effect. Toxic people often expect you to break down, to lash out, or to lose control. When you don't, it unsettles them. They realize they cannot manipulate you as easily as they thought. Your silence becomes louder than words. It communicates confidence, self-respect, and emotional maturity. It says, "I am not controlled by your chaos." And that message, without you uttering a single word, is often enough to shut them down. Some may confuse silence with avoidance, but there's a difference. Avoidance is running away from a problem. Silence, in this context, is a conscious choice not to participate in toxicity. It is setting a boundary without having to explain it. It's a way of saying, "I value my peace more than this argument. I refuse to waste my energy here." That is not avoidance, it is wisdom. Consider the concept of emotional starvation. Just like a fire dies without fuel, toxic people lose their grip when they can't get a reaction from you. They may try harder at first, raising their voice, intensifying their manipulation, or pressing harder on your weaknesses. But when you consistently remain silent and refuse to engage, they eventually realize it is useless. Over time, they either adjust their behavior or move on to find another target. This approach also helps you protect your mental health. Every reaction you give a toxic person is a withdrawal from your energy bank. By practicing silence, you are not only disarming them, but you are also conserving your own strength for things that truly matter. You choose peace over war, calmness over chaos, and growth over conflict. Of course, silence doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It doesn't mean allowing others to disrespect you without consequences. It means recognizing when words and explanations are pointless, and when disengagement is the smartest response. Sometimes silence is the most powerful boundary you can set. In the end, silence and non-reaction are not empty responses. They are deliberate choices. They are shields that protect your energy, your dignity, and your peace of mind. Toxic people can only thrive if you give them power through your attention. When you cut off their fuel source with silence, you take back control. And in that quiet strength, you become untouchable. Every person carries a unique kind of energy, an invisible force that fuels their thoughts, emotions, and actions. This energy is not limitless, and it must be protected carefully because it directly influences how you feel, how you think, and how you live. When you understand that your energy is your greatest power, you also begin to realize that not everyone is entitled to it. In fact, some people should never have access to it at all, especially those who seek to drain, manipulate, or misuse it. Toxic people are masters at stealing energy. They do it through negativity, constant complaints, manipulation, guilt, tripping, or criticism. Every time you allow them to pull you in arguments, force you to explain yourself, or occupy your mental space, you are giving them your most valuable resource, your energy. Unlike money or material possessions, energy cannot simply be replaced by working harder. Once spent, it takes rest, healing, and intentional self-care to restore. This is why protecting it is so important. Think of your energy as currency. Every day, you wake up with a certain amount. You can choose to spend it on productive work, meaningful relationships, personal growth, and things that bring you joy. Or you can waste it on defending yourself against critics, arguing with people who don't want to understand you, and entertaining negativity. Toxic people thrive when you spend your energy on them because they have nothing of their own to give. They survive by draining others. But the truth is, you have the power to control where your energy flows. You decide who gets access to your time, attention, and emotional space. The moment you stop allowing toxic people to occupy your mental and emotional world, you reclaim control. It's not about shutting everyone out. It's about recognizing who truly deserves your energy. Those who respect you, uplift you, and add value to your life deserve access. Those who constantly criticize, or manipulate do not. Guarding your energy is not selfish, it is an act of self-respect. Too often, people feel guilty for setting boundaries, as if protecting their peace makes them unkind. But boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They don't block love, respect, and kindness. They block negativity, disrespect, and manipulation. By protecting your energy, you're not only helping yourself, you're also teaching others how to treat you. You're sending the message, my peace is valuable, and I will not hand it over carelessly. Consider how different your life feels when you spend your energy wisely. Instead of arguing with someone who thrives on conflict, you could be investing that same energy into your dreams, your health, or your relationships. Instead of letting a toxic person's words replay in your head, you could be focusing on gratitude, creativity, or learning something new. Every moment of wasted energy is a lost opportunity to grow, heal, and thrive. It's also important to remember that your energy influences the energy around you. When you protect your inner peace, you radiate calmness and strength. Others sense it, and it naturally commands respect. But when you let toxic people drain you, you carry their negativity into other areas of your life. Protecting your energy isn't just for you, it's for everyone connected to you. Ultimately, your energy is your power, and it must be guarded with intention. Not everyone deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Save your energy for the people and situations that matter, for the goals that uplift you, and for the life you are building. Because when you learn to value your energy, you stop wasting it on people who never deserved it in the first place. In a world that often equates strength with loudness, aggression, or constant defense, detachment is misunderstood. Many people think detachment means indifference, coldness, or weakness. But in reality, detachment is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence and personal mastery. It is not about not caring. It is about caring wisely. It's about refusing to let someone else's chaos dictate your peace. When faced with toxic people, detachment is not an act of avoidance. It is an act of power. Detachment means you no longer allow yourself to be emotionally manipulated or controlled by someone else's behavior. It means you can stand in the presence of negativity without letting it pull you down. Toxic people are skilled at triggering reactions. They know how to poke at your insecurities, how to stir up your emotions, and how to pull you into conflict. Their power lies in your reaction. But when you practice detachment, you no longer react on impulse. You pause, you breathe, you choose calmness instead of conflict. This is mastery. Anyone can shout back when insulted. Anyone can lose their temper when provoked. But it takes discipline, wisdom, and true strength to remain calm, to refuse to be moved by someone else's negativity. Detachment is not about suppressing your feelings, it's about directing them. It's about acknowledging that your peace of mind is too valuable to sacrifice in pointless battles. Detachment also protects your energy. Every argument drains you. Every time you let toxic people stir your emotions, you are handing them control. But when you detach, you take that control back. You stop fighting battles that don't deserve your presence. You stop defending yourself against people who don't want to understand you. You stop giving energy to situations designed only to upset you. Detachment teaches you the power of restraint. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is nothing at all. Imagine being in a storm. The wind is violent, the rain is heavy, and the noise is overwhelming. If you panic, you get swept away. But if you remain centered, grounded, and steady, the storm passes and you are still standing. That is what detachment looks like in the presence of toxic people. Their chaos is the storm, but your calmness is the anchor. You don't need to fight the storm, you just need to remain unmoved by it. Detachment does not mean silence forever, nor does it mean tolerating disrespect. It means choosing your battles wisely. Sometimes silence is the right response. Sometimes walking away is the right action. Other times, a calm but firm boundary is necessary. The difference is, detachment allows you to make that choice from a place of strength, not from an emotional reaction. You are no longer being controlled. You are in control. When you master detachment, you begin to see toxic people for what they truly are: individuals projecting their pain, insecurity, or unresolved issues onto others. Instead of taking it personally, you recognize that their behavior is a reflection of them, not of you. This understanding frees you. It allows you to rise above instead of sinking to their level. That is not weakness, it is wisdom. True strength is quiet. It does not need to prove itself in constant arguments. It does not waste energy convincing people who refuse to see reason. True strength lies in restraint, in calmness, and in choosing peace over pointless conflict. Detachment is the practice of that strength. In the end, detachment is not about disconnecting from life or people. It's about connecting more deeply with yourself. It's about honoring your peace, valuing your energy, and mastering your emotions. Toxic people lose their power the moment you refuse to be controlled by them. That is the essence of detachment, and that more than anything else is true mastery. When dealing with toxic people, we often assume that we must fight back, argue, or defend ourselves to prove our strength. But the truth is, the most powerful response is often no response at all. One single action, non-engagement, has the ability to disarm toxicity more effectively than hours of explanation or heated debate. Toxic people thrive on conflict. They want your reaction because it validates their power over you. The moment you stop engaging, you take away the very thing they rely on, and in doing so, you render them powerless. Non-engagement does not mean that you ignore problems or allow disrespect to continue. It means you refuse to participate in battles that are designed only to drain you. Toxic individuals are not interested in resolving issues. They are interested in controlling emotions. Their goal is not truth, but domination. By arguing with them, you only feed their ego and prolong the conflict. But when you remain silent or walk away, you cut off their supply. They cannot fight with someone who refuses to step into the arena. Silence in this context is not emptiness, it is a statement. It communicates confidence, strength, and control. When someone tries to provoke you with insults, accusations, or manipulation, and you remain calm and unbothered, your silence speaks volumes. It says, "Your words do not control me. Your negativity does not reach me. I value my peace more than this argument." This quiet response often stings more than any comeback because it shows that you are untouchable. Non-engagement also creates space for self-preservation. Every time you engage with toxicity, you give away energy that could be invested in your growth, happiness, or relationships. Arguing with someone who refuses to see reason is like trying to light a candle in the middle of a storm. No matter how hard you try, the flame will go out. But by choosing not to engage, you protect your inner flame. You save your energy for people and situations that matter. Consider how toxic people behave when they don't get the reaction they expect. At first, they may try harder, raising their voice, becoming more dramatic, or pushing harder at your boundaries. But eventually, they run out of steam. Without your emotional involvement, their attempts lose power. They realize they cannot control you, and that realization weakens them. What they expected to be a battle turns into silence, and silence is something they cannot fight. This approach also shifts the power dynamic. Toxic people want to feel in control, and they expect you to respond on their terms. But when you disengage, you take control back. You dictate the terms of your response, and your refusal to engage forces them into a position of frustration and powerlessness. In that moment, you are no longer the target. You are the one setting the boundaries. Some may view silence as avoidance, but it is actually a conscious strategy. It requires discipline and self-awareness to remain silent when provoked. It is much easier to lash out, to argue, or to explain yourself, but silence requires mastery. It is the choice to value peace over pride, to protect your energy over proving a point. And in the end, it is far more effective than any argument could ever be. The beauty of non-engagement is that it's simple. You don't need complicated strategies or long explanations. Just one action, choosing not to participate, is enough to disarm toxicity completely. Your silence becomes the loudest message. You cannot be controlled, manipulated, or shaken by their negativity. In the end, remember, this silence is not weakness. Non-engagement is not surrender. They are acts of strength, clarity, and self-respect. Toxic people cannot win against someone who refuses to play their game. And the moment you choose silence over argument, you win, not by fighting, but by rising above. Peace is one of the most valuable treasures a person can have. Unlike money, status, or possessions, peace is something that cannot be bought, borrowed, or forced. It must be protected from within. And in a world filled with toxic people, constant negativity, and unnecessary drama, protecting your peace is not just a choice, it is an act of survival. When you choose peace over conflict, calmness over chaos, and inner strength over emotional reaction, you are practicing the highest form of self-respect. Toxic people thrive on disrupting peace. Their negativity, manipulations, and criticisms are designed to pull you into their storm. They want you upset, angry, and reactive, because that's when they feel powerful. But when you guard your peace, when you remain unbothered in the face of their attempts, You send a powerful message. You cannot control me. You cannot shake me. My peace is mine to protect. This message does not need to be spoken. It is felt in your calmness, your silence, and your refusal to be dragged into their drama. Protecting your peace starts with recognizing its value. Too often, people give away their peace cheaply. They argue over things that don't matter. They engage with people who don't deserve a response. They spend hours replaying toxic conversations in their minds. Every one of those moments is a withdrawal from your peace account. When you realize that your peace is priceless, you become more careful about who and what you give your energy to. Self, respect, and peace are deeply connected. When you respect yourself, you no longer tolerate situations or people that constantly rob you of your calm. You stop allowing toxic individuals to occupy space in your mind rent-free. You stop engaging in arguments that go nowhere. You stop feeling guilty for walking away from people who do not value your well-being. Protecting your peace becomes a declaration of your worth. You are saying, I deserve calmness, I deserve balance, I deserve a life free from unnecessary negativity. One of the greatest strengths you can develop is the ability to stay unbothered. This does not mean you don't feel emotions or that you ignore real problems. It means you refuse to let small-minded people or toxic behavior determine your emotional state. You choose where your focus goes, and by doing so, you reclaim control of your life. Imagine how freeing it feels to know that someone's insult, gossip, or manipulation has no effect on you, that their storm cannot disturb your sky. That level of calmness is not weakness, it is power. Protecting your peace also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, they are about deciding what you will and will not allow in your life. Sometimes that means saying no without explanation. Sometimes it means walking away without guilt. And sometimes it simply means choosing silence over arguments. These actions may seem small, but together they build a shield around your peace, a shield that toxic people cannot penetrate. When you prioritize peace, you begin to see how it transforms your life. Your mind becomes clearer, your emotions become steadier, your energy becomes stronger. You stop wasting time on meaningless conflicts and instead invest it in growth, relationships, and dreams that matter. Protecting your peace does not just benefit you, it benefits everyone around you. When you radiate calmness, you influence others to do the same. In the end, protecting your peace is not just about avoiding toxic people, it is about honoring yourself. It is about recognizing that you are worthy of a life filled with calmness, joy, and clarity. Toxic people will always exist, but their power ends where your boundaries begin. By staying unbothered, you show yourself the deepest respect, and in that respect, you reclaim full control of your life.